Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EGFH semifinals for the Connecticut region. Today, we have a playoff bout between the Brien McMahon Woodstock Academy Centaurs. First, I want to thank our sponsors, the Yukon Gaming Club, the Yukon School of Engineering, and a new one. Yes, it's real, the New York Excelsior, for making this season possible and sponsoring EGFH. I am Culture, joined by Vic Sharp. Vic, how are you doing today? Are you ready for some semifinals action?
I am the winner of this match, getting to play at that live finals on Saturday at Yukon. It's going to be a blast. For this series, we will have the Woodstock Academy Centaurs on blue side for game one, and then the Brien McMahon Senators will go onto blue side for game number two. And as we see, Culture, bands already flying through here. Graves, Jax Morgana, Akali, and Aatrox. We talked, these two teams have played twice in the regular season. It is to date, the Woodstock Academy Centaurs one map loss. So we're expecting a really good series here.
Yeah, Woodstock looking for some revenge. The bands right now, it seems like a lot of comfort bands, nothing like focusing out a certain position. So, and you typically see this though at amateur levels, is just comfort banning away players' picks. And let's see if Brien McMahon can continue this winning streak against Woodstock. The first game they got 2-0, second game went to a 3-game win for them. Let's see if they can ride that sort of momentum against this team all the way into the finals. While Woodstock, yeah, looking for a little bit of vengeance here.
Yeah, Thresh first pick tells me they really want comfort in that bot lane. And as we said, comfort picks being banned out. Akali and Aatrox are gone. This is still preseason. The meta is in so much fluctuation for these teams. Darius, we don't really, know what's good, what's not. Hecarim, an interesting jungle pick, very strong. We're seeing a lot of play towards the end of the patch 820, 821. So I'm liking the early picks here, kind of from both teams.
And talking about the patch that's happened right now, a little bit of a micro fix there in mid patch was the changes to Dark Harvest. They changed it a little bit more now to where it doesn't proc off of all spells, but there is still the proc on like Malzahar E, on the brand passive. So it's still relatively strong, just not as strong as it was. And we'll see if any of those picks come out as we see the first 3 picks for the side of Woodstock come out. They've already locked in their bot lane. Then they get that Aurelia that can be flexed between mid and top lane, while it looks like Brien McMahon will take the LeBlanc they're hovering over right now. But let's talk about this Hecarim pick because, like you said, it was popular in 8.20, 8.21. And the scariest thing in the world in League of Legends is a Hecarim gank with Predator boots, getting that full charge and just ramming you for half your health and destroying you, all at once.
Yeah, I think it's a really smart pick from the Centaurs to pick up this Lucian to go with the Braum bot lane. It means bot lane for that Hecarim is actually very hard to gank. If you're Hecarim, you'd love to see something like a Jhin, like a Jinx there that can't really get away from you as easily because those Predator ganks can come smashing in. Lucian has his dash, he has Thresh Lantern, and it makes that bot lane hard. And Aurelia, no matter where she goes, top or mid, just naturally one of the hardest people to gank because of the way she can jump around with her Q.
And it looks like the Senators believe that the Aurelia is going top because they banned away the Cassiopeia. And I love this ban because Cassiopeia can negate everything a Hecarim wants to do, even a Darius, the slows from miasma, and then basically canceling Hecarim's E by hitting the miasma, which has the root in it. It just stops everything the Heck wants to do coming in. He can't ultimate, can't charge at all in team fights. So a smart ban, the Vladimir come out next, and then it looks like more support bans coming out from the side of Woodstock, taking away more and more picks for JoJo Free, as the only thing left now to do for Brien McMahon is lock in that bot lane.
Yeah, and you talk about the Cassiopeia and the Vladimir bans a little bit as well. Draven locked in. I will get to that surprise in a minute, but they're also strong lane picks against the LeBlanc. They're really trying to give Marth Lowell a good lane to get this LeBlanc rolling because it can be, now with the Draven, one of their snowball conditions for this game to really get ahead before Aurelia, before Lucian get online.
But that Draven pick is a bit risky. We all know how powerful Draven can be if he gets those first couple kills with the adoration stacks. But if he falls behind, well, yes, you can get 150 stacks and, theoretically come back into the game with one kill, it just makes it that much harder because you just don't do any damage, and your team basically has to find ways to gift you kills in the mid and late game. But they do have the Shin there, so it won't be a very aggressive game early on for the bot lane of Brien McMahon until they maybe get Shin to level 4, right? And then he can try and look for a nice taunt and Draven follow up. But a Yasuo pick for the side of Woodstock Academy into the LeBlanc. So they were spot on. The Aurelia is going top lane, and that Yasuo being played into the LeBlanc, surprising to see because outside of being able to use the wind wall to stop the ethereal chain tether, I feel like the LeBlanc has a little bit of an advantage in this matchup if she can get to that lost chapter first and get some of that burst.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still that kind of range versus melee matchup in the mid lane that is always so detrimental for the melee champion. And to really see them pick that Yasuo into LeBlanc, you have to feel that the Centaurs are feeling maybe confident about this mid lane. It also gives them yet another way to get onto this Draven if he mispositions at all. You talk about Sejuani in the jungle, Yasuo and Aurelia being able to dive in, Thresh being able to reposition the Lucian in a team fight. This is a very, very strong team fight coming out of Woodstock Academy. And it really feels like pick off, split push with the Darius, get someone with Hecarim, get someone with a Long. It's going to take scattered for the Senators to really make this comp work.
Another interesting thing for the Centaurs as well is the fact that Aurelia didn't take teleport to Darius's TP, so there will be a little bit more global pressure. We all have to remember though the changes to teleport in the fact that now Smash 97, the timing to have the teleport go through is half a second shorter, but you can no longer cancel the teleport. So once you pop it, you're in there. There's no going back. There's no canceling it for half the cooldown. You just have to completely go. And Vic, my first question to you talking about this matchup is the fact of where do you think both jungles will focus first? I had to imagine the mid lane will be hotly contested, but there is room for Sejuani. There's a lot of carries she can try and get ahead and get a snowball rolling for, especially in those solo lanes.
Yeah, I really like the solo lanes for really both sides to try and make something happen. We've talked about the issues with ganking Aurelia, especially when you're like Hecarim. But if Darius can get a pull around, if you can find a way to stop the Aurelia in the queues, Hecarim can go to either of these solo lanes, really. I would like to see Sejuani maybe try something in the early game against this Senator's bot lane, just because you mentioned they're not going to be able to really do a whole lot until Shin gets to level 3, level 4. Lucian's going to be able to outduel Draven if the Draven hasn't been able to start stacking anything. And Sejuani to provide crowd control, I think bot lane could actually be a place here, culture, that we see explosion from Woodstock Academy.
Especially once the Lucian, once Snakeskin is fine, is that first item builds water cutlass. The thing that makes Lucian so powerful is the fact that he has that budget 80 carry build. He can get to the Blade of the Rune King first and therefore start wrecking lane if he can get there without giving up any kills, and even faster if he can get something under his belt like a kill or assist. So, I mean, once he hits that small power spike, the Sejuani can definitely look for something. So let's see what land Q does. Now, the burning question here is which team composition as a whole do you favor? We talked a little bit about the micro, about the lanes, but which team as a 5v5 do you favor more? Do you favor Woodstock or do you favor Brien McMahon?
And I'm gonna kind of cheap out with this Andrew culture. I favor Woodstock, assuming the early game goes even. And that's always a big assumption we're making when we have these kind of favored composition discussions. But Woodstock have drafted themselves a very clear win condition. You have your engage with Sejuani. You have your ability to turn skirmishes on its head with Aurelia and Yasuo. They just seem to have more tools in the belt right now than the Senators do. However, the Senators have such a snowbally composition. We've seen what LeBlancs do when you get ahead. You talked about Draven cashing in those adoration stacks, and Darius can become a split pushing monster with any kind of advantages. So this early game decides a whole lot in this matchup culture.
And looking at the runes here as we are on the loading screen, not surprised to not see a ton of Dark Harvest. Maybe on the LeBlanc, but it's kind of a 50-50 if she can utilize, and everything else is sort of melee. Now it's basically been turned into more of a AP mage support sort of rune. to take into lane. So everyone going pretty standard in every single lane. Looking at these lineups, though, going to go ahead and read down the teams for the side of Woodstock Academy. Will be Kanade in the top lane with Irelia. I do not land Q on the Sejuani. Angry YZ on the Yasuo. Snakeskins on the Lucian. And Abner Shin on Thresh.
Yeah, and for the Brien McMahon Sanders, it is Smash 97 on the top lane Darius, Dusty in the jungle Hecarim, Marth Wow on the mid lane LeBlanc, Fat Chance Kid on that AD carry Draven, and JoJo Free on the support Shin. I did want to mention, Culture, there's 4 Conquerors. I know we didn't say anything not standard, but it's still interesting to see that many of the Conqueror main rune being chosen here.
Yeah, and it works very well into a lot of the tanks that they will be facing. Hecarim eventually will get tanky, so will the Darius on the other side of the map, and the Shin. On the other side of the map, the Sejuani will get tanky with the Thresh. So having that Conqueror, as well as the extra damage it does just to hitting champions anyways, is extremely good for a lot of these champions that have auto attack DPS type builds that do a lot of natural armor shredding with the way that their kit is kitted out. As we get on to the Rift now, looking at the items, nothing out of the usual. Thorns, Blades for both Lucian and Yasuo. In every other lane, though, nothing out of the ordinary, really.
Yeah, this level 1 could be really key, Culture. Seeing if they try anything interesting. Shin doesn't normally want to take taunt at level 1, so the invade isn't as strong for the Senators. But Thresh is kind of okay if he has to take hook and has actually already leveled up the death sentence. So this is screaming that the Centaurs want to try and find something here. It seems like, though, unfortunately, they've picked the wrong side of the map, which is either good guess from the Senators or the game plan.
I would just have to say that it's probably a good guess, especially since you usually see Hecarim's. I'm more used to seeing Hecarim start their red buff, just flipping sides of the map. But this could be an opportunity for Woodstock Academy to steal away the Hecarim's red buff and give the Sejuani a chance to 3-buff and vertical jungle down. But it looks like they're just going to head back. No, they are pinging back on, say we'll return to that buff. And we have to remember, I would assume that they're not doing anything too aggressive, especially for the side of Brien McMahon, because this is a best of 3. Once you lose this game, you're on match point, and this is to go to finals for UConn. So unlike in best of 5s, where sometimes in game 1 teams will get spicy and a little bit cheeky, we're not seeing a whole bunch of aggression, at least from one team on the map. But it looks like Sejuani will go ahead and try and go for the 3-buff on the Hecarim.
And this is a really good start, Culture, because the bot lane is also fake leashed. They went and sat at Krugs for long enough to act like they leashed their own red buff. So there is absolutely no idea that the Sejuani is topside right now, much less already taking the buff, but here comes the gank.
And with red buff, this should be an easy level 2 gank. At least maybe get a flash as Smash is trying to walk his way out. The permafrost does come through. They're taking the low health, but they won't actually fall for the engage underneath tower, so they don't even get any sums for it. And now they know that the Sejuani has started Hecarim's red, and he will immediately run down to try and steal I do not land Q's red buff, respectively.
Yeah, that was a bit of an aggressive play there, Culture, because going for that gank, you're right, they showed off the fact that Sejuani has red buff. That's not possible unless my red buff is gone. The gank doesn't get anything. Darius, if he so wanted to, could have TP'd. Choosing to save it means that he's going to lose a little bit of CS, a little bit of XP, but all in all, the Senators are going to be happy with that trade because it stops his Hecarim from maybe falling behind, but he took a Scuttle Crab instead, and this might be a bit of a just give on this 3-buff still.
Yeah, unless he decides to go and still challenge the red buff, you're right. We do see a taunt in the bomb lane. Snakeskins does have to use his flash to escape the Draven axes, so he will be down 1 combat summoner, but still alive, which is good, especially into this Draven. And you're right, though. The Hecarim decided not to even go for the red buff, and he will end up getting 3-buffed here, as it looks like the team didn't even really communicate to him that his red buff was gone, because he still checked it and put down a ward, although it was already missing.
Yeah, and we're seeing in the top lane a lot of stuff going on, Cultures. I think Darius...
The Ignite is there. Will he burn out? No, the pot will save his life, but he will have to... He did have to use the flash, and he will have to use that teleport to get back to lane, so that'll be a global being taken away from Smash 97, and just the power of Irelia with Ignite, being able to land multiple flawless duets to set up that pressure. Now he is low, so he has to be careful because Darius can TP and possibly try and look for the pull, but he should be able to walk away and escape, and he'll just have to recall and return to lane. But he will have a level up, some CS up, and be able to get a much more significant first item as far as damage than the Darius.
It is interesting to note Aurelia had to burn Flash because Minion Block at the very beginning of that trade culture actually took a lot of damage and forced the early Flash out. So it was a good trade, but now the mid lane, these fights are just continuing.
It looks like Angry Wisely is going to try and go for the full kill on Marth. LoL, he will get first blood with this. He does get the heal pots from Marth, but it's just not enough to save his life, and that's a Yasuo online already. And we all know once he gets that Phantom Dancer, he's nearly impossible to deal with. But Canada has to be careful. The stacks from the Draven almost take his life. It will actually take his life in the top lane. So there we go. Darius getting a kill back. So on both sides of the map for both red and blue, it looks like snowball's already started as a kill goes with the Yasuo and a kill goes with the Darius, but I'm liking the kill on the Yasuo more, if I have to be honest.
Yeah, I think that was just a mistake from the Aurelia there, Culture, because I don't believe that the Aurelia backed it all. So was still there on low health, on almost no pot charges, and it was just nearly impossible for the Aurelia to stay alive in that situation. Darius, even with only a longsword, does so much damage in those trades. And now we'll have to see what this LeBlanc does in the mid lane. You mentioned that you like the Yasuo kill more. I'm inclined to agree that if this Yasuo can really get going, they can go. But just Sejuani, again, wasting a little bit of time in this top lane.
Trying to reclaim what was lost there in that 1v1, and you're right, it looks like there was a little bit of miscommunication. There was a ping that went down saying that Sejuani was on her way, but she just stopped to take Krugs, and so the Aurelia put herself in a bad spot as in the mid lane a gank from Hecarim doesn't follow through. They do push Yasuo out of lane, but they didn't push the wave, so he'll be able to return with little to no, trouble as a hook does land in the bottom lane. They're going to land some harass on the chin as he goes in for the taunt. The axes are landing, but just a little bit of a trade going in favor of Brien McMahon. In the top lane, though, another flawless split lands, and that will be a kill revenge for Canada as he finds a trade back. The Sejuani did show up and did get the assist for that, so that's some gold, and I did not land Q's pocket, and now they're going to push in the wave to try and deny some CS to Smash 97.
Yeah, Smash 97 not having the TP from the earlier first blood or second blood trade is really key, because now losing all that CS, losing that XP that wasn't lost in the previous Sejuani ganks, and finally I do not land Q makes that time commitment top lane happen. It is forfeited some of bot lane, but they're doing okay for themselves as they fight again.
A perfect taunt on a Snakeskins will stop the aggression from the side of Woodstock, but he's still going to try and go in and find some more damage. He has taken down to half health. Their ping's going down. The Hecarim is there. Snakeskins actually goes back in, but he knew the Shin did not have the taunt available, so he was safe. They don't find a kill, but at least they find a little bit of relief as the pressure underneath turret from Brien McMahon was very intense in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see where both these junglers look to go now. They've kind of both been attempting ganks. They're keeping up with each other on farm. The Hecarim has been kind of set behind, though, from that very start because the red steal hasn't been able to make as much of an impact. And we're just seeing bot lane over and over.
And Jojo Free goes back in. He does have the Shroud just for a little bit longer, but it does not save his life as he does fall in the top lane. The Vanguard's edge is thrown out. This should be a kill going over to Canada. It will be. So 2 kills in quick succession for the side of Woodstock Academy in the bot and top lane. And in the mid lane, we're going to see another gank from the Hecarim this time. He will charge into Angry YZ, but he doesn't find a kill. It looks like the knockup is there, and it's good onto Marth low, but he will be able to distort away. Let's see if they can find any more. They will not be able to as one more tornado lands, but no kills going down in 2v2 skirmish in the mid lane as Angry YZ, he's not giving up on this, just applying so much constant pressure, in your face aggression to this LeBlanc.
Yeah, but Culture, near disaster for the Senators in the top lane. That was the lane that they were trading in the 1v1s early. Smash was doing fine in that lane, and for now, 2 kills over to the Aurelia. The phage advantage, the turret damage that's already going down. I believe we've seen at least 1 turret plate fall in that top lane. This is a battle of split pushers and who can get ahead early, and the fact that the Aurelia is showing up strong in this first 8 minutes is a really good sign for Woodstock Academy.
And I think what really messed up that 1v1 in the top lane was not only that Canada landed every single skill shot as far as a flawless duet with the Vanguard's edge and he had Ignite, but the fact that even trying to fight back, this Darius only has Phage, or he only has Sheen, and I think it's cool to get Sheen if you're ahead of the lane. And while he did have one kill, he wasn't truly ahead. As it looks like anger-wise, he's going to try and go for the engage. He does use the ignite, but he won't be able to find the tornado on the back gain. However, in the bottom lane, it looks like the Glacier Prison will whiff, but they should still be able to find something as the box is thrown down. Sejuani is killed, and Fat Chance Kid does find one kill. He should be able to die with absolute happiness knowing that he turned that around. They can't find the Shin. It looks like Hector will come in and try and clean up Snakeskins, but he does splash. The red buff is there, and it looks like the onslaught of shadows will follow through. Will he die from the red buff? It looks like he will fall down. Can Thresh clean up the kill is the question, as Dusty is able to ward off the Spectral Lantern Man and clean up a kill, and they have a 2-for-1 trade in the bot lane. As in the top lane, looks like Smash will get cleaned up one more time by the Aurelia.
Yeah, and it was a good fight kind of for both teams in the bot lane, it looked like at first. Just the initial engage is so strong, being able to Thresh Lantern the Sejuani in. The ultimate missing does hurt a little bit, and then dying to Draven, allowing those adoration stacks to be cashed in is very key, because the Draven didn't die in the first initial fight, so that was the first Draven death of the game. The adoration stacks are crucial when you're behind in this early game. The turnaround was good to at least take the Draven out. 2-for-1 though is still favorable on the lane that's starting to get some work done for the Senators here. But again, Culture, something positive goes for them, and then the top lane gets beat again as this Aurelia 3-1 now, 30 CS up. This is getting in snowball territory.
And like I said, I just think that Smash set himself behind in the way he went for his build. Instead of going for the Phage, which a lot of top laners do, for the health and damage, he went for the Sheen. As it looks like Hecarim will try and come in onto Canada, but he does pop the Vanguard's edge. Can he turn around? It looks like the ultimate, the Noxing Guillotine is thrown down. He will get shut down. So there you go, Hecarim trying to show up the top lane, but in the bottom, it looks like he has to roam. And Woodstock Academy is trading 1-for-1 in all these fights across the map, always finding a way to trade kills in some lane, and that's what's definitely keeping them ahead in this game, as they trade 2-for-1 across the map and just continuing to extend this advantage. Although Brien McMahon did a good job trying to find something in the top lane and shutting down that Aurelia. And in that mid lane though, before I can even finish talking, it looks like Martho will be able to juke his way out, but the flash, a tornado will be there. The Shin ultimate should follow through, but it's onto the clone. Marth is able to Zhonya's for 1 second, the stopwatch being there, but they're gonna finish off this chase onto the LeBlanc. He might be able to escape. LeBlancs are incredibly slippery, and we'll have to see as the chase will continue. Land Q is there. The hook from across the wall doesn't hit Marthlo, but he will be isolated. He will be taken down by Snakeskins eventually, and that's one more kill for Woodstock Academy.
Yeah, and a really drawn-out kind of cross-map skirmish there. We see the advantage of the Yasuo being ahead, being able to roam down, but the good taunt here, we're not even done.
The Shin does land it. Snakeskins is going incredibly low. Fat Chance has another chance to get one kill, but the culling is there, taking JoJo free extremely low, but there's no ignite. He took exhaust. I don't know, Lanky was there. He does the flash in, but it looks like the onslaught shadows from behind shuts down both bot laners for the side of Woodstock Academy, and a triple kill as Dusty shows up in the nick of time to save his bot lane. And not only does he get a triple, but it will set the Infernal Drake for Brien McMahon.
That's absolutely huge, Culture. The triple kill onto the Hecarim, looking to try and maybe get more from it. They lose a lot of pressure in the solo lanes, but they are happy. The gold lead is kind of gone back a little bit now. This Infernal Drake is going to make some of that gold not matter anymore, and we have to see if this is going to be a response from the Centaurs.
Oh, flawless what on a Fan Chance Kid lands. He has a chance to reset. Canada is there. He does drop the Vanguard edge and finds one, but will he fall before he can find another? So LeBlanc does clean him up, but Yasuo is here. He'll land a tornado on one side, but he is ignited. He will fall. A shutdown goes over to Hecarim again, and this Ghost Horseman is huge. He is going to Cinderhulk build, and he will complete that first set Triforce, but he should get there before the Sejuani. He will be such a key factor in these later team fights, as the Senators are finding ways to claw their, or the Centaurs are finding ways, no, it is the Senators. Yeah, the Senators are finding ways to, you know, keep themselves in this game, and now the gold lead is only about 1,000.
Absolutely. We were seeing the Centaurs really start to get ahead in these solo lanes, really start to make towers fearful. If these towers start dropping, that would have been so key for this Centaur snowball. Instead, all it takes is one for this Hecarim. getting that triple kill in bot lane. Beautiful timing on that. It looked so good for Woodstock Academy. And then to just see the Horseman come running in there at full speed, gets the instant double kill and turns that fight so quickly. We have to see what the Centaurs can do if they can keep trying to pressure their lead back up, because they still are in the driver's seat of this game. Culture don't get that, sideways all in. We're seeing it in the bot lane.
Yeah, Glacier Prison does land after the hook, and they will find one. They should be able to clean up JoJo as well. So Woodstock still being that aggressive team that answers back no matter what happens to them. And they should get first turret here in the mid lane too. Yasuo might challenge Marthlow. He will look for it, but Hecarim is here again. He does find Tornado, and he is able to follow up on the proc and clean up the kill. Now, can he escape is a question. Dusty is following him up. He has no help, and he misses the first Tornado. Non-solid Shadows does follow through, and he does get the fear. He slides through Dusty one time to the left. He does get one more Tempest, and he will be able to escape unscathed. First turret blood and first kill, and now Woodstock becomes the bot lane turret as well.
And they got the top lane as well, Culture, because once again, the Aurelia won a 1v1. Yes, Darius got to the Triforce, but it's still not quite enough in this lane, and now we're just seeing control across the map from the Centaurs.
It looks like the bushwhack will be complete. The spooky Centaur is trying to charge his way out. He does find Snakeskins, but he should be cleaned up by the Lucian, and now they might look for more. As the Flay does land onto Fat Chance Kid, he does have the Shin ultimate on his head, but it should not matter. He will fall, and now because JoJo tried to save his AD carry, he will follow suit. LeBlanc is here, but I don't think she'll be able to find anything. Abner Shin is incredibly low, so he has to be careful with his storm, but it will be interrupted by the charge from their jungler, and now Marthlow is dangerously low. He gets the permafrost proc on his head, and Snakeskins cleans him up, and they're going to look for this turret as well. A full 4 for none for the side of Woodstock Academy, and as soon as we gave Brien McMahon a bucket of milk, they just kicked it right on over.
Absolutely, Culture, and Snakeskin 8-2-3 now on this Lucian, just really starting to ramp up. Is at that first item. You're seeing the damage that the Lucian can do, and this is just the Senators kind of coming in one-on-one. The Shin ult, when Draven is pretty much guaranteed dead there, is the first kind of iffy play, but then just trying to save Dusty after Dusty went right in onto Snakeskin. This is just the Senators maybe getting a little too hype from their attempted comeback, and now they are 7,000 gold behind in the blink of an eye with 4 towers going down.
I mean, and unless, as Dusty tries to find Angry Wisey, he is cornered 2v1, but he does find the Tempest onto Smash, and he will get the knockup. Can he survive? No, he will fall. However, the Aurelia is there to clean it up, and she should get a nice double kill here, so 2 for 1 again in Woodstock's favor. And I was just about to say it before it happened, the fact that it doesn't look like the Senators can try and find fights anymore, because yeah, they have the Darius with the Trinity Force, but he's 2.5 items, or he's half an item behind in the top lane and some gold down. They only have 2 or 3 members with a power spike on a single item. Everyone else is 2 or 1 item down behind a Woodstock Academy carry. You have the Lucian already at 2 items while the Draven's trying to catch up. In the mid lane, it's a complete 2-item power spike, and they just can't take fights. This Fat Chance Kid will be found. The TP is coming through from Darius, so he will be here in a second. Let's see if he can turn this fight around, as they will find the Draven eventually. A flash comes out from the AD carry of Woodstock, and he will still dash back in to find a kill and dominate. And now they're going to drop Rift Herald, as in the jungle, Marthlow is trying to find anything he can, but he won't be able to kill Canada in time. He doesn't have the burst with just that lost chapter. And now Rift Herald will smack into the turret, and it looks like Woodstock will continue to push. And in the side lane, Marthlow is trying his best to find a kill, but he won't be able to get the ignite. He will actually find a kill there on the ignite with the Thresh. It looks like he should fall to Snakeskin's Lucian going godlike. In the bottom lane, a kill for JoJo free as well, and Dusty's the only one left, but he doesn't get hit by a Glacial Prison to the face. 360, no scope, cleaned up, and now they'll be able to find one more turret and continue pushing.
Yeah, and this is starting to be the range of domination for Woodstock Academy here, as this Lucian just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Culture, the side lanes, there's no reason for JoJo Free to be there as a Shin. It's just really easy for Angry YZ to pick up that kill, and we're just seeing the comfort and the dominating feel from Woodstock Academy, as they just feel like they can go anywhere on this map. And we were talking about the power spikes being ahead. We talked back in the draft of what team comp was better, and it ranged on this early game. The fact that that Woodstock Academy have gotten the early game they have with this better kind of mid-game team fighting team composition it's starting to get in dire straits in this game 1 for the Senators. They need to find a way to find a couple of kills, maybe just take down either Aurelia or Lucian, get some gold back on this Draven, who's now 1, 5, and 6. Adoration stacks are pretty much not what your focus is right now.
And the LeBlanc finally did it a power spike with the Luden's Echo, as one more hook does land from Abner Shin, but he won't follow through, just slowing down the push of Brien McMahon. But the LeBlanc does have the Luden's Echo finish, so she does have a little bit of burst. It looks like I Do Not Lane Q comes out of nowhere to try and find LeBlanc. He will take him low. The Vanguard isn't there for Aurelia, but she doesn't need it. She's going to go ahead and clean up one. It will go over to Angry YZ, and that will be a 1-for-0, and they will be able to find something, as it looks like Dusty will try and go in. He onslaughts the Shadows right back out, though. Shin does use his ultimate to try and save lives, but they will be stunned up, and the fight is all Woodstock Academy, as Angry YZ says, I don't need the team anymore. He tips up, comes back down. Canada does steal the kill, but it won't matter, as it looks like that may be GG here, as we do get a surrender vote from the side of Brien McMahon. They're just going to go ahead and try and reset their mindset and head toward game 2.
Yeah, and I can't fully argue with the decision there, Culture, because they were just starting to get run over a little bit. This Lucian was getting very, very strong. They were able to ignore towers and just really get going. They had a team fighting composition, they had a lead, and they were in the team fight part of the game. I think it's smart. This is a best of 3. They still have a chance in the series. Reset, let's move to game number 2, and let's refocus and continue our fight to finals.
And we'll see. I mean, a lot of that was the fact that it just seemed that not only was the LeBlanc behind everyone else, and she's such a key member, and Woodstock, like everyone was just too far gone as far as gold for the side of Brien McMahon. The Shin wasn't even tanky enough yet to enter the fights with his ultimate and stay alive long enough to get back out. And like I said, sometimes I wish teams would take this mentality more, this approach. It's not giving up, it's not tilting, it's saying, you know what, before we get smashed anymore and do end up tilting, let's just go ahead and surrender. Let's reset and get ready for this next game before our mental gets too wrecked by this drubbing we're taking. And now they can possibly try and look to regain and push to a game 3 that they've already done once before, taking Woodstock to a game 3. I feel like they think they can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see, though, I think, Culture, what if the reset was the right decision. I'm excited to as we're gonna head to break before our game 2. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, everyone, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. It'll be Woodstock Academy versus Brien McMahon game 2. Will Woodstock be able to 2-0 clean sweep and head to the finals, or can Brien McMahon take us to a game 3 and try and save their season? We'll find out when we return. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the EGF semifinals for the Connecticut region, brought to you by UConn Gaming Club, UConn School of Engineering, and New York Excelsior. If you're watching game 1, you saw Woodstock Academy take a strong early lead, and then Brien McMahon had a nice resurgence on the back of a great timed, well-timed counter gank by Dusty, but then it kind of threw it away because, as we were talking during the break, Vic, they just got a little bit too excited with the lead or the gap that they had closed and just ran off the rails and gave Woodstock the lead again.
Yeah, and that last sponsor also thanking Mob Crush for making this possible. But like you said, Culture, the Senators had their lead and then maybe got a little too hyphy from it. It'll be interesting to see what the response is, and we're seeing a lot of respect paid from that game 1 as Lucian and Aurelia are the bans, because it is Brien McMahon on the blue side for this game, and Jocelyn. They just want everything out of their Culture.
But the question is, what do they put back up on the board by banning those 3? I mean, the Akali's on the board, unless JoJo Free or whoever they have playing mid lane can deal with it. The Akali's on the board. There's a lot of things that they gave up to ban away those 3 picks, but I understand it, though, because all 3 of them had a part to play, especially in the solo lanes. The Lucian ban, I don't know. I feel like that 2v2 wasn't the big issue, but the Thresh will be locked in first, it appears, from the side of Brien McMahon.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting just continuing to take away things that we saw succeed for Woodstock Academy, and the Akali instant locked in. You mentioned it, Culture. They left the Akali open. There was obviously a reason they wanted to ban it in game 1. We saw, and the Aatrox. So both things left open that were banned in game 1 left open now, immediately picked up from Woodstock. They know what they want to do with this. We saw what they did with these assassin control style of champions in game number 1, and that these still fit the mold, Culture. Akali's still very strong if she can get rolling. Aatrox, in whatever lane you want to send the Aatrox into, jungle, top lane, even mid lane, is still a very dominating factor, even with some of the nerfs from 823.
And along with that, the the more key thing in my mind is not only what you said, but also that they're both flex picks. Technically, you can take a Kali or Aatrox into either the mid or top lane. We don't know where they're going just yet, and now Brien McMahon has to contend with that and figure that out. And if last game's miscommunication issues they had, as you know, with the early jungle pathing, where it just seemed that no one told Dusty that his red buff was taken, and therefore it has screwed his pathing up all the way to sideways, then who knows how they'll deal with this now as the Syndra and the Amumu are locked in for Brien McMahon to round it out. So solid mid laner. The Amumu is something we don't usually see in competitive, but as it appears that Fat Chance Kid will be the one playing jungle this time, might be something he's comfortable with. But the Morgana, another pick that was banned by Brien McMahon, let through for the side of Woodstock Academy.
Yeah, and this Morgana is interesting because it's the response pick to Amumu and Syndra here. Culture obviously can be very strong with a good Black Shield on one of the carries. It can stop a lot of what either Amumu or Syndra want to do to maybe set up some fights. So I think Abner Shin, if we are seeing that be a support Morgana, it could be very key on how this is played out in the lane and through the mid game to help Woodstock Academy. We saw in game one they like aggression. They like to keep going when they have their lead. Morgana can help get that going and stopping Amumu, stopping Syndra, stopping Thresh from slowing down the train.
Exactly, because any CC they want to try and throw at you to slow you down, Black shield it. If she can hit Dark Bindings, and watching Abner Shin hit hooks in that previous game, I fully believe he'll be able to hit the majority of his Dark Bindings, and Morgana can be just crappy to play against in lane when you're dealing with a strong 2v2. It looks like it will be the Rakan and the Jax band coming through for Woodstock, and we'll see what Brien McMahon decides to round it out with as they ban the Vayne and then the Sejuani. So they just banned out 4 of the 5 picks that were played in the previous game, and it looks like the Ezreal will be locked in for Snake Skins here in the first part of the second draft phase.
Right, and Culture, they picked the Thresh. So literally every champion that the Woodstock Academy Centaurs played in that first game is off the table. Ezreal is a strong pick. He got that bit of a buff on 823, and with the crit 80 carries not really seeing as much success so far in the preseason, I really like the Ezreal in the current system of bot lane. Can do a lot of damage. Those W's can be all important, and it's just going to be really interesting to see with a Garen, the Senators rounding out their comp.
And it just seems like more comfort picks here is Marthlo also picks the Zaya, and Zaya Thresh can be a dangerous lane to play in once she has the Blade Caller at least 2 levels at level 4. It can be a lot of damage coming through with the Thresh, and to round out the composition will be a Kane from I Do Not Land Q. So looking for a little bit of early jungle pressure. I like Kane because he's a great pressure jungler in 1v1 scenarios when you're just trying to 1v1 the enemy jungler a lot. He does have some gank potential, but usually he has to be set up. But as far as trying to 1v1 on a Mumu and get early aggressive invades, I think he's perfect because a Mumu early on just doesn't really 1v1 very well until he gets something like a Thorn Mail, until he gets a little bit more in his kit to be tanky.
Yeah, and we are starting to finally see the flex picks from Woodstock Academy level out. It does look like a Kali going into that top lane in the against the Garen, and Aatrox in the mid lane. I feel like that's the better iteration that Woodstock Academy could have gone for. Aatrox tanky enough that JoJo Free isn't going to find any kills or anything great on this Syndra, at least not for the first few levels when the Syndra could get rolling.
And because of the Darkened Blade and how it's basically like Riven Q 2.0, the Aatrox has a lot more ways to pressure the Syndra if you can get close to her than her level 1, where it's just you get Dark Sphere and that's all you have. And yes, you can put down some damage, you can hit it, but Angry Wise, if we saw in the last game, had the high mechanical skill to dodge a lot of skill shots that came out from the mid laner, who I believe was it Fat Chance Kid last time in mid lane?
It was Marth Lowell on that LeBlanc.
Martha Lowell. They've had so many just switches. It gets me confused sometimes. But he was able to dodge a lot of the skill shots that Martha Lowell was throwing out from the LeBlanc. So I have faith that he can pull this off. And then a Kali into a Garen, I love that too because you already start with Shroud. And yeah, Garen can try and run in and Q you, but if he can't see you, he can't get that Q, and you can still always auto attack him, walk back in the shroud, auto attack, walk back out. So I agree with you. I like the flex picks, and because of that, as well as just not only the safety but the potential power from Woodstock Academy's bot lane, I like their overall comp better than I'm liking the Brien McMahon composition.
I have to agree with your culture. I think Brien McMahon has a better draft than in game one. Their draft kind of makes a little bit more sense. Syndra, Zaya, strong team fights, kind of get a pick off. A Mumu can help isolate a team with the ultimate. Garen can just be a tanky nuisance, stopping Akali, stopping Ezreal from trying to pump a lot of damage out. Or it could be someone that you just get run down and then you instant die to an R. So I do like the Senators comp a little bit more. It makes a little bit more sense this time around. I do have to agree with you though. Woodstock Academy, they have just again kind of more ways to make this happen. Kane in the jungle could get really far ahead of the Amumu if it's played right. Akali's, I think, going to be just as bad of a top lane matchup as we saw in the last game when Aurelia really got rolling over the Darius. And we've already talked about the mid lane. And for the bot lane, Morgana, if Abner Shin, again, with those black shields is on point, some of Zaya's stuns are negated. Dusty might have a hard time on Thresh. Ezreal's already a really hard AD carry to hook and to lock down. So it just seems like, again, Woodstock Academy have more tools in the toolbox.
And it's another thing of they also have much more early snowball. Just like last game, if they get 1 or 2 kills on any of these carries, specifically their solo lanes, they can just run away with the game. And their bot lane is so safe, as you said, that there shouldn't be a lot of ways for Marth and Dusty to get 2v2 kills in the bot lane unless the Mumu comes down for a gank and potentially assist. But still, very slippery bot lane. It's going to be a lot of focus more on Abner Shin than Snakeskins just because the Ezreal can slip out of a lot of trouble. However, I will give it to the Senators in their scaling. The fact that if they can get through the early mid game untouched, the Garen does get tanky, and because his passive allows him to just heal over time, it is hard to kill him. And we all know the one-shot potential that Syndra has, and Zaya also scales very well. So not trying to give the game over to Woodstock already, because the Senators can make something happen if they can find a way to survive the early game.
Absolutely. This relies on the early game again. We kind of talked about it in the first game with both teams really having snowball compositions. This time it's survival seems to be the name of the game for Brien McMahon. Can they get through this early game? Can they survive double Dark Harvest on Kane and Akali and just really get to where the Garen doesn't die instantly? The Amumu has time to build tanks so that when Amumu goes in, you're not dead instantly. And it's just going to take time. It's something they weren't allowed with game one being a 19 and a half minute or so victory for Woodstock Academy. But it's something they have to try and accomplish to send this to game three.
Looking at the Dark Harvest on the Kane, is talking about Kane in specificity is the fact that we said that there are 2 hard carries for Woodstock Academy, but don't sleep on I Do Not Land Q, because me personally, yeah, he can go blue Kane if he gets ahead, but I feel like Rost is so much more dangerous if he can get a lead and transform into the Darken form, because he has so much sustain. He can get so beefy and still do so much damage with that Dark Harvest proc on top of his other abilities that it's just near impossible to kill him, and you just can completely delete one of your carries before they have a chance to do anything. The Cinder does have Dark Harvest as well, so we'll see if JoJo Free can use it effectively against this Aatrox. But looking at the loading screen and looking at these teams going across, we're going to go ahead and start with the side of Brien McMahon. We have Smash 97 on the Garen, Fat Chance Kid with the Amumu, JoJo Free on the Syndra, Marth Lowell with the Cosmic Dusk Zaya, and Dusty with that Championship Thresh.
And on the red side, match point to punch their ticket to Yukon. It is Woodstock Academy with Kanade G on the Akali. I Do Not Land Q on that Kane. Angry YZ on the mid lane Aatrox. Snakeskin on Ezreal and Abner Shin on Morgana.
And talking about Angry YZ, seeing the electrocute, it's definitely an option. I personally like going the Comet just because it gives me the safety to poke them with Comet and then just sort of walk away and then poke them again and sort of set them up for all in. But an Aatrox with electrocute, and once he gets that Yomu's Ghost Blade, which I'd imagine he'd go first with the electrocute, I mean, he can 100 to 0 somebody really quickly if he can land his full kit.
Yeah, and we saw Angry YZ really start a little slow after the first blood and then really ramp up on Yasuo in game number one. And against the Syndra, something very similar could happen with this Aatrox. The early damage you kind of talked about with the like level 1 level 2, the Q damage is pretty absurd and could catch Jojo free off guard, but Aatrox in those early 4 to about 6 or 7 levels doesn't necessarily get the same kill potential, and then it ramps up more and more as this Aatrox heads to mid game.
I'm looking at him, we did go ahead and take the aftershock there. I mean, not unusual as well. Just looking at runes and masteries, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait to get into game, it looks like Fat Chance Kid is having a little bit of trouble loading in at 40% on my screen. So just waiting for that to complete. But overall, just standard runes and masteries. And I mean, just continually, whenever I look at this screen, just looking at all of these players, we are loaded in now. I just keep falling in love with Woodstock Academy's composition more and more and more the more I look at it, just because of how much mobility they also have. They have damage, but they also have mobility. The Aatrox can use his Q and his dash to get out of a fight, and he also has World Ender to try and walk away and live. And then we all know Canada and Akali can be very slippery, and same with Kane. I mean, there's so many ways for them to escape any hard engage that Brien McMahon has.
Yeah, and another thing to note, we didn't really touch on it, is that Snakeskin took TP on this Ezreal. So it's not an odd summoner choice at all for many Ezreals, but it does give them something they didn't have in the first game, and that was a way to counteract Smash 97 TP.
And it allows him to answer if the Garen gets big enough to split push. It allows him to answer a split push. I remember watching one of Double streams and explain that's why he takes TP. Is it basically it's to be able to answer side lanes extremely quickly and also facilitate a split pusher of your own if you want to as an AD carry, because you can split push and TP into a fight and be there for your team as another early invade coming in from the side of Woodstock. However, there seems to be a pause because of connection issues from Fat Chance Kids. So we will try and wait and see if it's something short or if it's long enough to take a break.
Yeah, but it does give us a little more time. We've talked about both kind of sides of this, the mid game, the late game strength of the Senators. I'm wanting to look at these lanes a little more in depth because some of these are interesting lanes that we never really get to see culture. You're talking about Garen versus Akali in the top lane, and we've all seen since the Akali rework what Akali can do. Uh, but Garen is one of those things that the kit still surprises a lot of people when you just instantly die.
And something, I mean, that's something that Canada will have to just watch out for. You right. If he gets too over aggressive, Garen can do a lot of early damage. He didn't take Ignite. A lot of Garens that want to play more aggressive in lane with the grasp will take Ignite to try and kill you early at like level 3, maybe try and Garen bush you and wait. But you're right. Canada has to be extremely careful because if he gets taken too low to actually do anything, then it won't matter how good his kid is against the Garen. And Akali, while she does do some good early damage with that items, it's only really against squishies. Against the Garen, who already starts off naturally tanky, I just feel like until she gets that first, maybe a Bilgewater Cutlass, the Hex Tech Revolver, she just won't do that much damage to take consistent trades. She's just trying to be able to farm safely with the Shroud.
Yeah, and the thing to note that most people kind of seem to forget about Garen's kid at times is the silence is a very key thing, and it could be key against someone like Akali, who, if you silence before, could throw the Shroud in, could be a lot of damage that you're not expecting to take in the trade.
At the same time, though, on the opposite end, if Canada does get a lead, Akali can shred people extremely quickly. She's hard for the Garen to lock down with his silence so he can try and get out of there. And if he gets a lead before the Garen is able to get some armor items, maybe some magic resist or some armor, because Akali's build is a bit hybrid, then he can go fall pretty quickly, or at least be so pressured on her lane that it makes his life miserable.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. We are hearing that it is a slight computer issue for Fat Chance Kid, so we're not sure if it's going to really be a quick enough or a very quick pause here. So we are going to take a small break, allow the connection issues to be fixed, and us to get into this game too. Because I don't know about you, Culture, but I am ready to see how this series continues.
Oh yeah, I'm rip roaring, and I want to see possibly a game three, but we'll have to tell at the end of this break. So like every anime you've ever known, on the back end of this break, will Woodstock be able to secure their spot in the finals? Will Brien McMahon be able to take us to game three? Find out on the next episode of EGFHZ after this break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have returned. It's the next episode. This will be episode 13 if it was Dragon Ball Z. We've been through episode 6 through 13 by now. 7 episodes for us to charge up and get ready for the climax and the finale of the series. As it looks like Woodstock is going to look for a bushwhack here on the red side of Brien McMahon's jungle.
Yeah, and I will say if Brien McMahon learned anything from game one, they should know this is happening. That's actually a brilliant ward from Dusty. It does get 10 gold to Aatrox, so GG go next. But they do find out this time, and now there is no question for Fat Chance Kid that red buff steal was going to come through if they hadn't seen it out.
And even better is it scared I Do Not Land Q and his squad mates so much that they decided we're just going to back off because we don't know if the rest of the team might be here once they see that ward. We got to leave, so now his red buff is secured. A better start already for the jungler of Brien McMahon and for the Senators overall.
Yeah, but we have seen Culture already in that mid lane, kind of what you mentioned briefly in Champ Select, and it's that at these early levels, this Aatrox is doing so much, and Jojo Free's response is to press Q and hope that Angry YZ is right there.
It's worked a couple times as he did land a couple of the Dark Spheres to push Angry YZ away. However, Aatrox has that natural sustain to keep himself up, so won't ever leave half health. He does go back in to look for one. He does have an auto attack. He has Ignite as well. Looks like he will pop it. It won't matter if you pop a pot there, Jojo Free. You will fall for first blood to the Aatrox. Woodstock Academy once again on a roll.
Yeah, and deja vu from game number one. Just a couple minutes earlier, though, this Aatrox getting rolling. We'll have to see if Fat Chance Kid can find a response here.
He should have the bandages to try and find a kill. He does miss it, though. A dash does come through, but in the top lane, looks like Canada will take some early damage from Smash 97. But the Shroud is there once again. He did land the Silence Tower first, so good for him on that one. But the trade ended up just being even, and both top laners only at half health. As the bonding does land in the bottom lane, but right back at him with a Blade Caller there to slow down Snakeskins and keep him from pressuring Dusty any further.
Oh, that hook.
Ooh, another hook go through. This will be a kill in the bot lane. Marth Lowell will claim that when the Dark Binding was not in time and the Spell Shield was not there to protect his AD carry, so that'll be one in the bomb lane, but a TP coming in from Snakeskins. He won't lose out on much CS. He just gives over 300 gold to the bot lane of Brien McMahon.
Yeah, and looking at the top lane in that first initial duel, it was what we were kind of talking about right before the pause. The silence coming in from Garen allows him to win the early portion of that trade. Unfortunately for Garen, your kid is pretty much done after that early portion of the trade, and the Akali being able to get the Shroud, get the damage returned is really key. And then we saw in the bot lane the trades as Jojo Free might be under fire, but it's a Syndra. So
he gets a great call of the week and just pushes them away before they can get any more damage or even find a knock-up there. So a good job by Jojo Free basically sort of recovering in lane and making sure he doesn't fall for a second time. But it looks like Angry YZ wants to try and go for more. He gets one knock-up. He does land the chain as well. The electric proc is there. He will take him to half health, but they have found I Do Not Land Q in the jungle. But it looks like his bottom lane is there to respond. The Lantern will be there to save Marth Lowell, but the Shadow Step will follow through. The Aatrox is here as well. He goes in with a flash for Jojo Free, but a nice hook will save the mid laner's life and allow her to escape. However, it looks like Marth Lowell is caught on the wrong side of the rift, and he will fall. Dusty as well is caught by Bonnie. He does have to flash to get away from the Umbral chains. So all accounted for, it is a 1-for-0 trade in the bottom side of the map, as the top lane kind of just getting even more pressure there on the top side.
yeah, and that fight showed the small split up that if the Senators continue to do that, they're going to be in trouble. Marth Lowell was nowhere near where Jojo Free and Dusty were pretty much able to get out of that fight in the clear, and it just allowed the Xayah to get picked off quite easily. You know, another kill is so big, but wow, YZ.
Yeah, he's playing very dangerously. He does try and go for the kill, but the proc from Jojo Free will get the kill with the Ignite before he can find that last Q from the Darkened Blade, the last proc there. So Jojo Free playing with his life, but finding something And now it looks like Canada might be in trouble. He actually will have to run toward the upside of the map and flash over the wall. Will he blast cone over is the question. He doesn't just blast cone to the side and will keep running toward Kane. So the question is, will Fat Chance Kid look for the flash if he can catch up? He does have water walking, so he does have a little bit of that movement speed boost, but they cannot find Akali again. And Canada will have to waste that flash, but he does escape with his life.
Yeah, good from the Akali to get out of that because the CS lead is there. The fact that we just haven't seen, the Garen really be able to truly pressure is just a big plus right now for Woodstock Academy, and we'll have to see how they can respond and keep going after just once again their early ganks aren't working and another fight top.
And it looks like Smash has been ignited. Will Canada fall through? He will do so, and the ignite is there to claim the kill. Also on the bomb side, we did see that Dusty did disconnect. We'll see if he gets back. They do pause it. It looks like his computer turned off, so we'll have to wait for him to be able to turn it back on. But you gotta plug in the power, man. That's the only way computers will work.
Yeah, the culture we get 6 minutes in, we've already seen 5 kills. Now we get some time to dissect where the gold's at, where the map pressure is, and we're really looking once again. It's top lane early for Woodstock Academy, 600 gold up. It's a good lead for an Akali. We've seen what Akalis can do when they get rolling. The mid lane isn't a better situation than it was in game one for the Senators. That's true. Jojo Free is not only even in CS, has that trade kill to really keep the gold even, and bot lane is going fairly in their favor. So this feels like, to me, culture, top half versus bottom half of the map, which one can get that lead and that scaling going faster?
Yeah, another great start in the solo lanes, I agree, for the side of Woodstock Academy. Canada finding a kill in the top lane. Yes, anger-wise, he did get a little bit over-aggressive and give a kill over to Syndra, but I think all in all, he'll take that because, again, it's another member of the Centaurs that has a build that gets him to his first item faster. Yomu's is one of the cheaper lethality items if that's what he's going. He has got the Ruby Crystal, so he might be going for the Black Cleaver, but my money would be on possibly trying to get that Yomu's first, and that item will be complete before the Luden's Echo is completed for the Syndra, so he'll have a lot more utility, and that power swipe just come earlier. In the bottom lane, you're right. Things are trading back and forth. Marthlo and Dusty are having a better time than the previous duo in the bottom lane for Brien McMahon, and I think I have to agree that Brien McMahon are in a much better position than they were in the last game. It's a lot closer. It is approaching 1,000 gold, but for what happened in the last game, I'll take that if I am a Senators fan.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll take that. And the thing is these lanes aren't necessarily going fully how we planned it out. It's the jungle that really hasn't been as almost impactful as we were expecting. Culture, I do not land Q hasn't really made the impact he's tried to, but he's been kind of nullified at the early points. So I I want to see if the next kind of couple minutes, next 6 minutes or so, can really change how this Kane's impacting the game. But I'm not sure, culture. I think after this break for the technical difficulties, as we can once again get Dusty in, that Woodstock Academy have a lot to do to solidify this game for them.
Yeah, definitely. I do not land Q. He's been going for more gank pressure and not really for that early 1v1 invade onto the Amumu. We'll see if that changes on the other side of this break as, again, will Woodstock Academy be able to extend their lead past 1,000? Will Brien McMahon be able to catch back up and get their solo lanes back a lead? Find out on the next episode of EGFZ at the other side of this break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as it looks like Marthwell was in a little bit of trouble, but he'll escape while in the jungle. Fat Chance Kid, half health. It looks like I Do Not Land Q was able to respond. I had my whole Dragon Ball Z re-entry, script written and ready, but it won't happen as Jojo Free is able to push away the Aatrox and survive. It looks like major aggression in both bottom side lanes for Woodstock Academy, and then Kane going in deep to Fat Chance Kid's jungle trying to find a kill there.
Yeah, and it is good to see that from the Kane, as we're seeing JoJo Free just start to get run around by Angry YZ in the mid lane, but that is what we both wanted to see I Do Not Land Q do, is really start getting into Mumu's face, start trying to find some advantages, as now Xayah is just in continuous trouble in the spot lane.
It looks like they're just gonna try and continue without the Thresh, and Woodstock Academy is not playing good, guys. They're gonna just continue to pressure his bot lane even when he's not there. And it looks like they should be able to find a kill on the Marth Lowell as he does dodge one more Q. Actually, the flash comes in from the Ezreal, but he doesn't get the kill. Marth Lowell escaping with a sliver of health. How much health? He had 9 health there. Oh, he just gets smited.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate, as it's a good play there from I Do Not Land Q, but we're starting to see the same thing that happened in the first game, is we see just once again this Akali is causing issues for Garen.
And it looks like Smash will go low. The ultimate is there, and he will find and kill her. The Ninja silences her prey and finds one more. We're sitting at 6-2 at 8 minutes. Nice 3.2k gold lead for the side of Woodstock Academy, as Angry YZ wants to go for more. And I mean, Woodstock just continue to put the pressure on. They're just not stopping. And now he's going to go full on to JoJo Free. The Whirlwinder has been popped as well. He does proc it, but will that save JoJo Free's life? I don't think so. As the one more Darkened Blade does land. That's one more kill in the mid lane, 7-2. And I mean, Woodstock just taking it to him.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted to say before the top lane. This is what we saw in game 1 start to happen slowly but surely, Culture. The turrets are starting to get knocked down a little bit. The side lanes are going. Fat Chance Kid is going to try, but this is a tough thing for him to win.
Once the chains there landed, I mean, there's not really much way for him to catch up. Unless he can get one more bandage toss out before Angry YZ is able to escape, he won't be able to. Just good outplay from Angry YZ, just, you know, landing the chains and dashing away to escape via Mumu, as Thresh has finally reconnected. He is back, but what he returns to is kind of a house on fire here, as the team has fallen behind by a little bit over 3,000 gold.
Yeah, and unfortunately enough for the Thresh, losing a level as well and just not having the time, it has allowed the Xayah to kind of get a little bit of XP. That solo XP can be impactful for an AD carry, but the Thresh will just have to come back into this world. 3.2k gold down, as you said. They're looking for something top, though.
And now they've silenced the Akali, but the bandage toss does not land, and they're not willing to go into turret for it. Will Canada go back in is the question. No, he will not follow in the Shuriken. You know, just escape with his life, easy as you like, as we go back to the bot lane with Marth Lowell. Looks like Thresh still not being able to fully disconnect. He's there now. He finally finished walking there to the lane, but talking about levels, yes, the Xayah is even with the Ezreal because of solo XP and gold, but I mean, usually that applies if you don't give over a kill in the bottom lane while your support is gone.
Yeah, and so much damage can come out of this Ezreal now, just on the Sheen and the tier, and we're just seeing Fat Chance Kid isn't quite able to find. He's so close on some of these Amumu things, but the bandage toss not quite hitting, the minion dying before a bandage toss would hit. Things like that are just kind of the name of the game right now for Brien McMahon, is they just need to try and keep surviving. We talked about it in the draft. Their team is significantly stronger late, but right now they're behind enough that it may not matter, as Aatrox and Akali have gotten the snowball started very clean.
There we hello. Oh, yep, I'm back. I'm sorry, as coming back to more action, as it looks like I Do Not Land Q is able to escape with his life after using the Umbral Trespass to save his life. But Angry YZ, he wants more. The Ignite is there. He did pop the Whirlwinder to survive, and they will find one, but Garen is here to try and clean things up on the back end of the fight, as I Do Not Land Q will take a lot of damage. We'll just be able to Q away. However, the flash ult from Smash 97 does find one. JoJo Free, though, was left open to Canada, and will land 1, 2, 3 knockout punches. The Garen's able to clean up 2 and get the shutdown kill, but it will be a 2-for-2 trade. So everything going even, but good job by Brien McMahon, able to clean that fight up when it was looking so grim earlier.
Yeah, Fat Chance Kid kind of once again finding himself caught out a little bit in his own jungle, but the response that can happen, Smash 97, this Garen can do a lot of damage. He is in a lot of trouble now, though, as the Akali was still alive from that fight.
The Ignite has been popped. Will he be able to find one more? He flashes for the auto and will find the kill there. Rampage for this Akali, and you're right. It is good to get those kills onto a Garen too, because it helps out his lane, helps him catch up. But I mean, it might be too little too late. The Akali just completely comes back and turns it around. However, and Ignite in the bottom lane as all hell is broken loose. Snakeskins goes down to 1 quarter health, and they pull the Amumu back in. A flash play is answered with another flash. You will be able to escape, but can he land a bandage toss is the question. He will be able to arcane shift out one more time, and it looks like I Do Not Land Q is now here to join the fray. Snakeskins able to clean up one. Can he clean up the rest of them? A bandage toss will be able to find 1 kill from Mars Lowell. Can he clean up Abner Shin? Fat Chance Kid is there to try and finish it off. Snakeskins has to be careful. A flash Q comes in from the Zaya to find the kill, and another couple of trades, and Brien McMahon is given as good as they get around the map.
Yeah, and this is very similar to what we saw in game number 1. Again, is they're just slowly starting to find some advantages back, try and trim that gold lead down a little bit. They got it almost back to even in game number 1 before it just exploded again. They can still do something very similar, but no matter how much progress they make in that bot lane culture, that is still a 4-0 Akali with a Medjai's in the top lane that is coming to ruin the entire day of any Senators fan.
And this Garen has no matches. He's going to go ahead and try and go for the Trinity Force first. He did buy a no magic mantle, but that's with an Akali that has Sword Shoes and a Medjai Soul Stealer at 10 stacks. With the Hextech Revolver, I don't think that's enough to negate all the damage coming out from Akali. And now he's split build and he's just suffering, because when you split build, you need to dedicate to one, as I Do Not Land Q will find a Syndra one more time, and it looks like Canada finds another kill in the top lane, and there you go. All that pin, doesn't matter if you have a no match man.
Yeah, and we're just seeing I Do Not Land Q finally starting to be a little bit proactive in and around the map, get things going, and we keep bringing deja vu moments to game 1 culture because I just keep seeing a lot of the same things. Turret plating has fallen off, yes, but the towers are just on nearly blinking health for a lot of the Senators, and if those start falling, it's going to be a lot of gold going to Woodstock Academy.
A lot of standing gold in the air. It looks like Dusty wants to try and find something. The Soul Shackles is there with the Zonias to save his life. Stopwatch will be used. It looks like they do find the hook onto Snakeskins, though. He does have to flash away, but can Martholo clean up the kill is the question. A Q misses from the Ezreal. They're on the opposite side of the map, though, trying to find a way out. It looks like a binding will hit one more time. Oh my goodness! He finds the arcane shift into the auto attack, and they spur around for a double kill. What an outplay by Snakeskins and Abnershin to turn a grim situation in their favor.
Yeah, that was absolutely massive from the bot lane of Woodstock Academy. That was the lane that you felt if the Senators had a chance, it was in that bot lane. That was where they could make things happen, and they almost did it again, but almost just isn't cutting it for this game, as they might finally pick up the first kill culture.
And they go for a bandage toss. They do land the CC chain and find one, but Aatrox is still here to clean up. He will find the last Q onto the Syndra. Can he find Fat Chance Kid as well is the question. He doesn't have another chain, but he is slowly getting auto attacks in with the World Ender. He finds one more Q. If he can find the last proc, that's another one. Can he find a triple here in the mid lane? A 3-for-1 as the World Ender is popped, but the Ignite is on top of Garen. It looks like he will be able to find it. He does a triple kill turnaround for the Aatrox, and Angry Wisey is popping off in the mid lane.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Smash 97. Used the ultimate. It was enough to kill, but World Ender was still on just barely, and it kept the Aatrox alive. And Garen with the ult down, with the spin to win down, there's not much chance for you to win that fight. And now, just like I was worried about culture, bot lane tower fell. Mid lane tower has fallen to standing gold. It is 7,000 in the lead now for Woodstock Academy, as the Centaurs are looking to rampage into finals.
They find one more binding, but the Lantern is there to save Matt Flow's life. They find a hook onto Snakeskins. Looks like he wants to try and find anything onto this Morgana, but he won't be able to do it in time, as Snakeskins does get a killing spree. Now Dusty has to try and make anything happen. He plays backwards, pops the box. I don't think he can escape, though, because the Kane was still there to use the ultimate. He will pick up the kill, and now they can try and go for this Mountain Drake. And on the top side of the map, Macaulay did take that last outer turret, so the goal lead has now extended. It's almost 10,000, and we're not even past the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and we're really seeing what would have happened in game 1 if they didn't start to get the lead, as Akali's fighting again, but...
Unfortunate as he gets popped over the wall. He is able to escape eventually, but that doesn't really stop them from taking Mountain Drake. And it looks like Syndra will fall one more time. She does get the ult off in time to kill the Morgana, so that will be one more kill in her pocket, but not before Dragon falls, not before another kill goes down, and now it looks like the rest of Woodstock is going to go ahead and push mid.
Yeah, and as I was saying before those fights, Culture, this is what game one might have looked like if it wasn't the fact that the Senators got the gold back in their favor a little bit, got the lead kind of back in their favor. When Woodstock Academy have hit the gas pedal, they have not stopped in this series. And when you look down the map, or look down their score, 5-0-0 Akali, 7-2-1 Aatrox, and a 6-2-2 Ezreal, all of the carries are doing everything they need to pop off. This Syndra is going to take so long now for the Senators to get to that one-shot point, only on the Luden's Echo at 17 and a half minutes.
Exactly. I was just about to point out that besides the Mumu jungle item, which, you know, if you're not counting as a completed item, there's only 2 members on the side of Brien McMahon that had completed first items, and one of those, the Storm Razor, is one of the cheaper AD carry items to build, and that's about it. You know, actually, not 3 if we're excluding the Mumu item, as in the bottom lane, looks like kind of it has been collapsed on me. We'll be able to use the Shroud to escape. The Black Shield is there, but it looks like the Mumu ultimate will catch him one more time. He tries to escape with the Shuriken, but it won't be in time. They get the shutdown kill on Akali finally, and they give it over to the Xayah. So there's some gold in the AD carry's pocket to turn things around. The Syndra's trying to look for something, but nothing doing it. Angry Wise, he's joining as well. He tries to cut off JoJo with 1 Q, finds the chains, but he can't fall with a 3rd Q just because he gets stunned up. They do find Fat Chance Kid though, and he is stuck. The World Ender is popped, and this will be a complete cleanup from the side of Woodstock Academy. There's just too much damage, too much CC, and not much that the side of Brien McMahon can do, as they do find 3 for 1 in favor of Woodstock, soon to be 4, as Aatrox is just slowly working on Fat Chance Kid. He's just trying to dodge his way out of skill shots until he has time to escape, but it won't matter. He eventually will fall to an auto attack. Garen, the only one up on the map, and the rest of Woodstock are going to go ahead and push this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, they're just too far behind right now for the Senators. Yes, they get the kill in the first of hopefully a couple of shutdowns for them onto the Akali, but they lose so much they can't get out, or they get a little bit greedy, and it just gives time for Angry YZ to get there. And this Aatrox is the scariest person on the map, arguably, right now. Yes, Garen got a tower down. I believe that was their first or second tower of the entire series, but it's so little gold right now when you're already 10k gold behind Culture.
And now we see some more action in the mid lane as they're just slowly pushing. A Dark Banning does land. Syndra is rooted in place and cleaned up by Snakeskins. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it does, as the Syndra falls. Mid lane has been pushed in. They find another tower, and you're right. I believe that was just the 2nd tower of the series that they've taken the entire series. And Baron is about to spawn in another 10 seconds. So that'll be another standing neutral objective that the side of Woodstock Academy can work on. As Ezreal playing with a little bit of fire here, but he knows he has backup, as I do not land Q does find his way into the mid lane, but the box will slow him down. So it looks like Brien McMahon will be able to escape with his life for now, but there are pings on the map. The rest of Woodstock Academy is here to follow through. They find one. They'll be able to find the support as well, as Aatrox was able to join the team. And the question is, will they continue to push the mid lane, or will they go for Baron, as Canada is able to find another one? Looks like they're going to go ahead and turn around toward the jungle and start moving toward Baron, but not until after they potentially take the mid lane. Nope, they find one more in Garen, as he was around the corner. He gets taken out as well. Tower shots are being taken by Ezreal, but he'll be able to escape with a heal. Now they're going to go and push mid lane. JoJo Free is here on a turret, gets cleaned up for the double kill. Now they can go ahead and try and push for this turret and maybe even an inhibitor.
Yeah, and this is really starting to get shades of game number 1, is they're getting really far ahead now. They can just push through. It's 13k gold in their pocket. This Aatrox has no fear right now on the map, and Snakeskin is playing so confident on Ezreal, able to use those E's aggressively. He's landing enough of his W's to really amplify that damage that's coming through, and it's taken a while, but I do not land Q is starting to kind of get some gold under this Kane's pocket, really get rolling. Now has the Black Cleaver finished as well, and this power spikes, these mid-game strength points that we were worried about from Woodstock Academy have come fully into prep here now, Culture. But the Sanders aren't out of this. We've talked over and over again that they have late game strength. They just need to hold on and survive. It'll take about 10 to 15 more minutes now, but they do have a recipe to get back into this game if they can hold on.
But the problem here is they're playing a game of Outlast because they only have one member with 2 completed items, and that is the Zaya because she got the shutdown gold. They have Baron up on the map that they can't really contest. A Mountain Drake as well, so will be burned even faster because of double Mountain Drake. I mean, it seems extremely difficult for Brien McMahon to find any way back into the game, and Mountain Drake does fall in the top lane. Angry YZ is on to Smash, and it looks like he will find one more kill as the Ignite is there, and he goes godlike, and it looks like the rest of the Woodstock Centaurs will push between the mid and top lanes and try and take even more standing gold.
Yeah, and we're seeing the confidence from Snakeskin as he was able to eat into that matchup. And it's a Kali. They're just playing with so much confidence, Culture.
He gets the Feather Storm from the Zaya. He can't get back over the wall to finish the kill, but it won't matter because in the mid lane, Snakeskins has found 2. He is legendary, ladies and gentlemen. 11-2 on 2 different members of the Woodstock Academy 5-man team. As otherwise, he's going to go ahead and push this top lane turret down and take that out. The goal lead is now 15,000 as they're going to go ahead and try and push it into the game. Fat Chance is trying to stop it, but I don't think there's much he can do.
Yeah, and this is where the turtle defense has to come in strong, Culture. They have to try and survive, but top lane is starting to push down onto them, and they just feel so confident. Even with only 3 members, as Kane's pushing bot lane, they feel like they can just keep going. They are strong enough to do this, and the Centaurs are wanting to prove their dominance as they are pushing bot. The tower falls, and there's just not much that the Senators can do here.
And they're just waiting for their super minion waves and pushing slowly in as it looks like JoJo Free might fall one more time. The ultimate comes through, but it looks like Canada does splash to take down away. Garen's able to find a shutdown kill on the back end, using that ultimate onto the Ezreal, but it looks like in the bottom lane, it will be the Mumu running away. A kill goes over. It looks like Garen is trying to clean something up, but he falls again. And Marth is the only one left alive. He gets knocked up, and that will be an ace for the side of Woodstock Academy, and that will be the series.
Yeah, it's a strong statement from Woodstock Academy. Undefeated in match score in the regular season, now heading into the finals with a strong 2-0 victory here. They are looking really strong as they punch their ticket to the finals at UConn.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That will be it. Woodstock, as we said, punching their ticket to that UConn finals. And you couldn't have asked for a more dominating way to do it, especially that extra confidence boost, because you do it against a team that beats you, the only team that beats you in the regular season.
Yeah, and if they keep playing like this, Culture, you have to expect they might be the favorites heading into that matchup because they just carried from all over the map. They really had a strong team performance overall. It's hard to pull one person out. Yes, Kanade just dominated that top lane with multiple advantages and solo kills, but Angry YZ, multiple games, strong performances in mid lane. Snakeskin did exactly what you'd want an AD carry to do. He played with confidence and just took over at the points of the games that the AD carriers are supposed to.
Who would you give the MVP to this series, Big Sharp? I mean, there's so many candidates, so many that we could give it to. I want to lean toward the mid laner for Woodstock Academy, but there's just, you could give one to all 5 players realistically if you wanted to.
Absolutely, but I do have to agree with you. I think if there's one person that we have to, single out of this entire 5-man unit, it is Angry YZ, in my opinion, as well. The Yasuo from game 1 got the ball rolling for them, and this Aatrox in game 2 was just able to do whatever it wanted to do. So I have to agree. I think if we're going to give it to one person, Culture, it is Angry YZ.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That will be it for this series in the Connecticut region. Thank you for tuning in, but don't go anywhere. Keep track of your watches because in just about three and a half hours, 7:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Alaskan time, we will have the Alaska region semifinals for EGFH. Once again, brought to you by the UConn School of Engineering, the UConn Gaming Club, Mob Crush, and the New York Excelsior. I have been Culture Gibson joining you here. You can find me at ATL Esports Guy on Twitter. Vic, go ahead and plug yourself and tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at the Vic Sharp, and like Culture said, stay tuned for that Alaska semifinal. And if you want to know more, make sure to follow EGF on Twitter and Twitch at official EGF as we ramp up to the finals of both the high school leagues.